Hi guys and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got the tank review for the brand new Tier 8 Premium Tank Destroyer, the NM116 Panzerjäger. Now this is the NM116 from Cold War, but now in World War II as a tank destroyer, obviously, because that's what it is. And it's in the American tech tree, and first of all, taper your expectations because it's not the NM116 from Cold War, which is just stupidly OP. This tank is definitely very, very good, but it's not at that level of being just stupidly brokenly good, right? Okay, where it's basically a light tank, not a tank destroyer, and you can't spot it. It does have exceptional camo. It has a great gun, blistering rate of fire. It's everything you want from a tank destroyer, really, except for just not having high alpha. It's got lower alpha for faster rate of fire. But that'll appeal to a lot of people, and I think that this tank destroyer is a pretty damn solid tank destroyer. It's pretty capable in when it's bottom tier. It's incredibly capable when it's top tier. Its strength is in its stealth and its blistering rate of fire, and if you can master that, then you will have a great time in this tank. And to add to that, the NM116 looks pretty awesome because it's, you know, it's a Chaffee that was upgraded to have a 90mm gun by I think the Norwegians. It's got a great little skin because this is the skin that comes, well, you can get with the tank. It doesn't come with the tank. You pay 3,000 gold for this skin, but you can get it in one of the bundles. And yeah, it looks really good. I really like the looks of it. So let's get into the stats of the NM116. So here we go. In terms of stats, this tank has a 400 horsepower engine, 61 km/h top speed with a 17.7 reverse speed, which, you know, those top speeds are really great. It's got a 21.5 horsepower per ton, which means that it does reach the 61 kilometers an hour decently enough, but it does feel a little bit sluggish at times to get off the mark. But once you get going, you do hit that 61 kilometers an hour top speed. It's not like having, well, some tanks have a fake top speed where they've got like 61 kilometers an hour top speed, but they'll never hit it. This will. It just sometimes feels like it takes a little bit to get going to it, right? 15% fire chance as well. Trust me, I've been set on fire 3 times. 3 times in 15 games, I think it is. Which is a lot. Because I don't really get set... Since 6.0, getting set on fire has been a rarity. This tank just seems to get lit up quite often. And I think that's because it's a small target. The engine's, you know, in the back. Fuel tanks are probably there as well, so you get shot in the back end of the tank, you're probably just going to get lit up. So just be aware of that. In terms of hit points, it's got 1,100 hit points, which is pretty low, so you've just got to be careful. But, I mean, that's around about what a lot of tanks, especially paper armor tank destroyers and stealthy tank destroyers, have at the tier. So it's nothing new there, really. 40 degrees a second hull traverse speed is actually pretty quick for a tank destroyer at tier 8, so it's pretty decent. The ground resistances are fairly standard. They don't really hold the tank back, to be honest. Your detectability range is 288, which is actually pretty solid, and you can get that down to 212 when you set it up right, which means that you are ridiculously stealthy. When you could use silent driving to get this down as well if you want. Again, it's up to you. I'm still going to experiment with it and stuff like that. You've got 370 meters view range, which is... It's not brilliant, but it's not bad. If you use optics, you will get above the 445. You get up to, and use situational awareness, born leader, and food and stuff like that. You get up to about 470 meters view range, which is great, which you'll need to be able to spot things while keeping them at the maximum distance to use your camo while absolutely destroying them with your DPM. In terms of turret rotation speed, it's 30 degrees a second, which does feel a little bit slow, especially when your track traverse is 40. Your turret, doesn't keep up with your hull, so just bear that in mind. But that is a tank destroyer trait, so yeah, you're always going to have a slower turret traverse than your hull, pretty much. Accuracy on turret rotation is 1.02, which is not too bad. It doesn't bloom that badly, which is, you know, okay. 10 degrees of gun depression, which is absolutely fantastic, makes you incredibly flexible, and you can turn the turret the whole way. In terms of a reload, you've got a 6.7 second base reload. You'll get that down to about 5.1 seconds, something like that. You'll see when we put on all the equipment in the crew. The 8.96 reload, like I say, that is really, really good for 280 alpha. You've got a 0.34 accuracy, which again, with the crew skills, you'll get that down really easily. With a 2-second aim time, which is also very, very good. I'm not sure why it says shots per clip 1, because it's just a single shot. whatever. It's got APFS DS apparently, and heat, with a shell velocity of 1275 on the APFS DS, which is pretty good, to be fair, because a lot of tanks tend to have like 1,000, 1,100, something like that. So 12, nearly 1,300 is pretty good. Although sometimes for a tank destroyer, I wish it was just a little bit quicker. It would have been, it is what it is. But it's not bad by any means. It's also got 950 meters shell velocity on its heat, which is a little bit slower. And again, you've just got to make that adjustment, especially when you fire the HE, because the HE can be useful with 370 alpha. You just got to make that adjustment that it's going to be way slower and it's going to be harder to hit things with these shell velocities. Trust me, I've been trying to hit things with the 370 alpha, the light tanks, with 750 meters a second, and you really do feel the difference. You just got to be aware of that. The penetration on this tank is absolutely fabulous. You will not have to worry about penetration whatsoever on this tank, which means that obviously when you're bottom tier, it's quite nice to be. Because the one thing I say this tank is very similar to is the Vindicator Charioteer, which is really good since it's been buffed. The one thing that lacks, apart from the alpha as well, is the penetration. This thing gets 262 on its standard rounds, 320 on its heat rounds, which is filthy. You will not struggle to pen anything you face, which is a wonderful thing, to be honest, especially for a tank destroyer. 45mm of pen on the HE as well is, yeah, it's not great. But you can still pen the lightly armoured stuff like Gorillas, Waffle E100s, RT, well, depending on the RT, obviously, and stuff like that, so that's nice. And 370 is a massive jump in its alpha, and it does slap when you pen those rounds, which is quite nice. You get also a silver bonus of 150. I've been finding that this tank makes really good credits, so there is that too. But yeah, the stats on this tank are really solid. Like I say, it's a really, really solid tank. If you use the camo to the best of your ability, you have a great, great time. So in terms of a crew, which I have put in the T28 Proto, let's put it back in the NM. I use Born Leader, Rapid Reload, Sixth Sense, Situational Awareness, Camouflage Expertise, Muffled Shot, Steady Aim, Run and Gun, and Snapshot. I use the gun perks because it is a TD, so I want to make the most out of the gun as humanly possible. And then I use the camo perks again to maximise my camo. Now, because I've only played 15 to 20 games in this tank, I haven't experimented too much with it, and I'm probably thinking about taking out Snapshot and putting on Silent Driving to make sure that my camo's, 55% better on the move? Yes. So I make it so that my camo's better on the move. I might switch out Snapshot for that. I don't know yet. We'll see, and I'll see how it goes. The gun does feel great, but at the same time, sometimes it feels extremely derpy when you come in from stop or you turn in the turret and trying to snap onto a target. So Snapshot can feel nice. Again, completely down to how you do it. You can have either Snapshot or just run Silent Driving. Yeah, it's completely up to you. In terms of equipment, well, obviously we run the standard stuff that we do with consumables, but in terms of equipment, I run the rammer, make the most out of the DPM. Optics, again, to make sure that your view range is good as possible so that you can spot things as far out as possible and use your DPM to great effect with before you get spotted. And then Camo Net. And as you can see, with this kitted out, you've got now 212 meters of steel concealment, which is ridiculously good. And if you keep people at distance using, and you've got muffled shot and stuff like that, that is ridiculous. And there's a lot of situations where you won't get spotted, and you'll see that in some of the replays. 473 meters view range as well is fine for the TD, and that means, again, you will outspot quite a lot of things. It also means that if you want to, you can get yourself to aggressive light tank bushes and use this as a little light tank and spot as well. It's really flexible in that way, and like I say, the 280 alpha is really nice. If we go then and have a look at the stats while it's got the new, or well, all the stuff equipped to it, look at that, 5-second base reload. 5 seconds reload, and then you boost with food and it gets lower than that. Mental. 0.28 accuracy as well is fantastic. 1.84 aim time, yep. 3.3, nearly 3.4k DPM. It will be 3.4k DPM when you boost your reload with food. Absolutely nutty. Accuracy on turret rotation, like I say, 0.77 is really solid. You get that 32 degrees a second with the fully kitted out stuff. And yeah, it's just ridiculously good. To be honest, like I say, this tank is really great, and it's not broken. In the limited experience I've got, I don't see it's not brokenly OP. Sorry, like the Cold War version, which they've taken a bit of care to try not to replicate. It does have downsides, and at the same time, it is still really, really solidly competitive tank. It is 10,000 gold, which is about the average, actually, looking through the tank. I thought it was quite high, but looking through the average of a lot of the tank destroyers at tier 8, a lot of them are around that 10,000 price mark. So that's, yeah, that's the price of the tank. I mean, you've got the, so there you go, 10,900 at base, 15,250 with all the stuff. So you get like the boosters and the premium days and the skin. Is that worth it? I don't know. And then you get the fully loaded one way, which gives you the, hey, look, the same equipment that I'd put on it. Look at that. Magic, innit? But yeah, you get these boosters. So if you want the boosters, it could be worth it, to be honest. And especially if you like the skin, that 15,000 could be worth it, but it's really expensive. So I'd always say go for the base bundle. But yeah, on the whole, this tank is really solid. I really, really like this tank. Although it's not my usual tank, because I am a high alpha tank kind of guy. I prefer the high alpha over DPM, but this thing can stay unspotted quite reliably, and you can just work people over with your DPM, which is nice. You don't have any armor though, so you do have to be aware of that, but you do have random angles that seem to ricochet shots that you really shouldn't ricochet. So yeah, if you like stealthy TDs that have no armor but have great rate of fires, you're going to like this tank. If you don't like stealthy TDs and you like to get stuck into the action and brawl in tanks, this is not the one for you at all, okay? And if you like playing a run and gun playstyle, again, this is not for you, because the dispersion on the move for this tank is pretty bad. While you will hit shots on the move at times with run and gun and stuff like that, it's not like the NM116 from Cold War, like I say, where it just won't hit shots on the move like that thing does. Like I said, that thing's ridiculous. It's basically a light tank in tank destroyer clothing. So yeah, that's the NM116 Panzerjäger for World War II at tier 8. It's really solid in the stats. I'm going to send you now over to the replays where you can check out how it fares. Got a game at tier 10 for you, which shows how effective it can be at tier 10, and then some pretty damn good games. I've not really had too many bad games with it. It's really solid, to be honest. I really enjoy my playing through of it. So as always, everybody, I'll send you over to the replays where you can make your mind up. So as always, I'll see you there. So I've got 4 replays for you in the NM116 Panzerjäger, and yeah, this tank is really solid. It's a really good tank. It's a great little tank destroyer because, like I say, the stealth is really good. The alpha's pretty nice for the fact that it reloads in 5 seconds. As I say, I'm an alpha whore. I always prefer to have ridiculously high alpha as opposed to high DPM. But it works for this tank because, you know, it's not like I'd say the closest to it is probably something like the Vindicator, right? Because it's rapid fire, it's got good mobility, it's got great camo, like ridiculously good camo. But obviously it doesn't have the pen that this tank has, and that has, I think it's 220 alpha or 230 alpha on the 20 pounder, as opposed to this thing having 280 alpha. Like, that difference is so nice, and having this HE with 370 pen is also great. It's just a really flexible tank destroyer, and you can do some wicked things in it. You're probably going to see some massive games because the DPM is that good, and again, it's one of those ones where if you get yourselves into a good farming position and people just ignore you, this thing will just destroy everything so quickly. So we're on the first game, and like I say, this is probably the more average game I've had in the tank, and we are on Pearl River. We've taken the middle because, well, the middle's quite important. On Pearl River, again, you can get good shots out into their base. You can get good shots along the JK line, which makes it fairly easy to get shots. You can shoot their sniper hills, all that sort of stuff. And as you can see from here, you get great shots out of their base if you can spot things. From here as well, we can stay on spot because we've got great camo. But now I've decided, you know, okay, we're not spotting anything in their base. So what we're going to do is we're going to go see if we can shoot anything along the JK. Or more like the 1-2, really. The STA-1 is just behind cover, so we can't quite get a shot at him. I was just hoping that he might drive out in front of the Huntsman, but he doesn't. It's like, okay, look, that light tank spotted their TDs at the back. We get a nice shot into the tracks of the Diamondback, but he repairs and moves back. Then we get a shot into the... the E25 there. Just look how slim that shot was. It hit that shot. Then there's bad modelling from Wargaming on this map sometimes, where you just shoot a little bit too close to that wooden post and it all counts as wooden post. Weird. We get another shot into the side of the Diamondback, aim for his back end, we set him on fire, and that's the thing with having this 280 Alpha as well. We've obviously got slightly higher module damage than we would on a 240 or a 230 Alpha gun for TD, which is nice. So it tends to take tracks off first time as well, which is great. And it's really useful for that, because obviously with a Charioteer shooting something like a Diamondback or something like the ISM in the drive wheel, we're more than likely going to have to fire, what, 2 shots at it to track it, maybe. This tank, not so much. More likely to just blow the tracks off first time, which is definitely great. So we're up to 1800 damage so far, and their team is, well, their team's collapsing. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to take drastic measures. We're going to be aggressive, and if we don't crash, we're going to have some great times. So we're going to aim up a shot on this HWK-12. We try and snap it in, but it's just poor, badly led aim. Poor aim from me. We're detected, though, and it's like, what is detecting me? Leave me alone. You know what? Okay, if I'm detected, I'm just going to use the speed of this tank to go at 61 kilometers an hour, go quick enough. I can't quite get a shot at the E25 or the HWK-12, and there it is. That's the tank that was looking at us. But now we've pushed into a position where we can get a shot at the back end of this Tiger 2. We shot him down. We've also got shots at the back end of the VZ-44-1, so we're going to slap some shots into him, which was really the whole purpose of coming here. I wanted to push aggressively into this low ground here, where nothing could really shoot me. I could get shots into the back end of the 2 heavy tanks that were on that little flank there, and we could shut them down. Now we're coming up against this E25. It's like, hello, Mr. E25. Goodbye, Mr. E25. You have DPM, I have DPM. There goes the E25. They've only got 2 tanks left. It's this T28 prototype and their artillery. We know where the artillery is because he's in the little position where they're always going to be, and we've seen it fire. We've got a little slither of a shot on the back end of that T28 prototype, but we can't quite hit it. Now we've got the M12. We managed to slap that shot in, not fully aimed. Then this shot that is nearly fully aimed misses on the M12, because of course it does. He gets shut down by the Huntsman. We're looking for another shot at the T28 prototype, but unfortunately he's just behind the ridgeline, so we can't quite get a shot at him. But a decent little game for the NM116 Panzerjäger. We're finished with the epic victory, come top on the team, 3 kills, 2.9k damage, 3rd class, 1400 base XP, which, like I say, is a fairly average game for the tank. It's just one where we got ourselves into a decent little position to fire some shots, and the enemy team died pretty quickly. But because this tank has a blistering rate of fire, it didn't really matter that they were dying quickly, because we could keep up with it and get more shots in quicker than our own team, right? Which is always nice to have. It's really, that's where having something that has high alpha gets left behind, like the Caliban, for example. I know obviously that's a heavy tank, but I'm talking about high alpha tanks, right? That has a really long reload. In that sort of game, we would have really been left behind, because we'd have fired like 3, maybe 4 shots and the game would have ended. Is what it is. But now we're on the second replay, and we're on Arctic region. And we are going to push into an aggressive position to try and spot some shots, and also use the bush locations. But this Becky Lynch, I have absolutely no idea what the Becky Lynch was doing. No idea whatsoever. And they're gone in the first 30-40 seconds of the game. Don't play your light tanks like that, boys and girls. It's just not good. And here is where the camo of this tank is dirt. We pull further into the trees or the bushes just to make sure that they are a little bit more or a little bit less opaque, and we are now farming this Demolisher. We've got him tracked, which means he gets wrecked. And that's the good thing about this tank, obviously, is the fact that, like I say, you've got the sort of alpha where you can track tanks first time, and then you've also got a 4.7 second reload with food boost, or just a 5 second reload plainly, which means you can perma-track people so easily. And that is definitely a really dirty thing. And now we're in a really aggressive position. We're in the bushes, we're using the camo of the tank, and we're just going to keep trying to work people over where we can see shots. But we've got awkward shots at this CS-52 Lee. So there's a dead tank in front of him. There's also he's just poking his sort of turret over the ridgeline, so we can't quite see where the ridgeline is through the bushes. Then there's a Black Prince gets spotted, and it's like, hello, Mr. Black Prince. Unfortunately, we don't track him, though. We just get a nice shot snapped in. And you see with this gun, sometimes it hits shots snapped in, sometimes it doesn't, because it sort of blooms out. Which, you know, it can be frustrating when a lot of tanks do it. But there's also fully aimed shots like that, where aiming quite high and it goes extremely low. The accuracy on this tank is great, but sometimes it just decides, you know what, I may have great accuracy, but yeah, screw it. I'm just going to miss. because why not? Obviously, that's a chancy shot there on the CS52 lease, but we missed it. We're just missing out on a shot on the Tiger 1 as well because we snapped that shot. Sometimes it's better just to wait, make sure you're fully aimed to be able to get a shot in, but sometimes not. Like, you just saw me snap a couple of shots and miss them really easily. That one, again, snapped in, wasn't aimed in really at all, and we managed to just destroy that CS52 lease really easily. But now I'm thinking, right, okay, well, I maybe have outlived the usefulness of this position. I was thinking, should I start moving? But this E25's coming in. Unfortunately, we end up missing that shell on him, but again, the rate of fire on this tank is ridiculous, and we get to finish him off. We're looking at the Senlac now. It's like, well, hello, Mr. Senlac. Unfortunately, that shot misses. I'm not quite sure how. The shell, like, it was going straight on target, and then it just whiffed him. We try and hit him again, but the shot goes behind him and ends up tracking him. We switch to HE because we can pen a Senlac with HE. And again, I want to use that 370 alpha. I mean, 370 alpha for 5-second reload is dirty if you can use it. Now, I kind of wish I'd kept that HE in, but we do get a shot into the Aguila, and we get spotted for the first time in this game. Like, second time, really, because we did get spotted by the Becky Lynch. But first time when we're playing properly and we haven't got a YOLO man that just destroys himself in the first 30 seconds. Because obviously the Aguila has ridiculously good view range, so he's just going to negate our camo. And in that sort of position, we are in, you know, a position where he's always going to spot us. But again, that Crash Panther's there. We're in the bushes, he just can't see us, and he's lost most of his hit points in those couple of seconds, because this tank fires ridiculously quickly. But now I've decided, you know what, actually, I need to go help my friend behind us. There's an OHO, so we switch to the 320 heat, because our AP might not go through. So the heat with 320 pen, easy days, easy life, easy days. It's always going through that guy, and we absolutely trash his armor, because 320 heat pen is going to do that to a Japanese heavy. I mean, even a Type 5 heavy is going to struggle against that. We're up to 4.1k damage with 1400 resistance. Unfortunately, the Crash Panther just gets a shot into us as we get unspotted. But we've got hit points, it doesn't matter. There's 4 tanks left. There's 2 heavy tanks, the Crash Panther and the Aguila that was down below. Well, no, it's not the Aguila. The Aguila got shut down. But we don't know where the light tank is. We're trying to just poke up to get a shot into this Crash Panther, but he's just getting to positions where we can't quite shoot him. We end up shooting one of the Dragon's Teeth, which is really annoying. He shoots us and destroys our turret, which again is something that I forgot to mention. The turret does tend to blow up or get destroyed quite often when you get shot there. So, you know, it does have a weak turret ring, so expect your turret to blow up. We'll switch to HE to go through this Senlac, because again I want to wreck him with, you know, mad DPM. But we slap the shot in for 360 odd and finish him off. And we finish with the victory. 5 kills, nearly 4.7k damage, 1500 resistance from aggressive position, high caliber, not ace tanker, the first class, sorry, and 1999 base XP. What I was going to say is that would probably be an ace tanker, nearly 2k base. But obviously, I don't know what they've done. I know that they've made it so it's when a new tank comes out, its mark status is basically at the highest tier 8 that there is. So basically, if a tier 8 is ridiculously hard to mark, that is the setting for a brand new tier 8 tank that comes out. So people will struggle to mark it on the first day. I have a feeling that they may have done that also for the ace tanker requirements, because nearly 2k base on a brand new tank, usually it's way lower than that until it gets to the live server stats. So I assume that they've set it to the hardest tank to ace at tier 8, no doubt. So yeah, 1999 base XP is a pretty damn solid game. And then we're into the second, not second game, we're on to the third game. And we're on this map, which is El Alamein. And we're going to go to a position that I like to take in any tank really that's got gun depression, especially one with good camo, and that is this position, because we can get good shots out along everywhere pretty much. We get a nice shot into the HWK-12, but again he's got good view range, so he spots us up. And then we poke out to try and get a shot at this Comet. Unfortunately, that ricochets on the Comet. I'm not sure how. He's a very lucky man. I say it's a Comet. It's actually a Cromet, because he's got the Cromwell turret. But this poor STRV-74 is in a very, very aggressive position. And we reload almost as quick as he does for 280 alpha, and he's only got 100 odd alpha. Yeah, the DPM on this tank is crazy. The HWK's moving across the open. We try and get a shot into him, but unfortunately miss. Then the Stirrer Mill gets spotted, so we slap a shot into him. Like you see, 267. We're hitting people quite hard a lot for the reload we've got. That is just the really nice feature of the tank. Unfortunately, that shell goes really wide and only tracks the HWK-12, but we do get another shot into him as he's running away. 287. You see how useful this position can be. You can get shots across the people running along the 1-2 line. You can get shots across people going along the 6-7 line. And people that camp at E4, you can also shoot them if they get lit up. So Tiger 1 spotted crossing, and I'm thinking, right, is the time to move now? I don't know yet. We try and get a shot into the HWK-12, but unfortunately, the shot just misses him, and then we get smacked by the Stirrer Mill that's back there that was clearly waiting for us. We do get a nice shot on the move into the T21, though, and we're just going to try it again, but unfortunately, we hit the floor. But we're not going to stop to aim to finish that guy off, because we want to keep moving. Again, we don't want to get tagged by that Stirrer Mill. It would end our game very, very quickly, or make it sort of a one-shot for everything. We want to keep, at this point, we're having a decent game, we want to make sure our hit points are still going. So we end up spotting the T150. We don't really aim the shot, and unfortunately it just hits the dirt. He takes a hit from someone else, which means that when we fire at him, we get to finish him off. We slap the shot into the Stirrer Mill next. He's the next target. If we get lucky with our roll, we can actually finish that guy off. I'm just looking at what's going off below, and it's like, okay, let's see if we can get a shot at the Stirrer Mill and get rid of that gun, because, again, that gun hurts. We don't want that. We know we've got a load of tanks beyond this ridge line, so we'll get a shot into the Cromit. But then the Tiger 1, who is actually really stock, is trying to get shots at this. He ends up ricocheting. This is what I mean, though. This tank has random moments where it ricochets shells, and you go, that really shouldn't have bounced. I don't know how. The one thing I will warn you about, and that's something I did forget to mention in the garage part, is that this tank doesn't have very many, or should I say, very much gun depression over the back end of the tank. So if you're firing over the back end of the tank, yeah, it doesn't really have any. You've got to be aware of that and keep your gun pointing to the front and the sides, because once you go further back than the sides, you lose the gun depression completely. Now, you saw us get a nice shot into the Cromit with HE for 336. I thought I could pen it anywhere, but I was going to really struggle to pen it. Unfortunately enough, we found the one position we could hit it and pen it for 330 odd. Then we actually ricocheted a shot from the Striker again. Like I say, this tank just seems to ricochet shots that you go, how? Then we've got HE loaded for him, because we can pen him with HE. He's got absolutely no armor, and we pen him for 372. That's what I mean by this HE is devastating when you pen lightly armored targets and you've got this reload. It's really nice for that. Then we find the ISM, ricochet off him, and now we're trying to get a shot into the Striker, but he gets unspotted, and it's like, well, okay then. But he's actually turned around. He just got unspotted. He's another tank with ridiculous camo. And now he's turning around to face the tank that's assaulting him. We get a shot into his back end. I was hoping to track him in place, but it doesn't quite happen. And again, this ISM is just look how quickly we wreck his tank, take all of his hit points. It's so quickly. And obviously we've got 268 pen. So even firing into his upper plate doesn't matter. We're easily destroying that man's armor, because the pen is great on this tank. The DPM is just incredible. And you can just absolutely trash tanks that ignore you. And that is a really nice feature for the NM116, definitely. And finished with the victory, the 5 kills, 5.2k damage, 398 assistance, high caliber, the first class, 1985 base XP. Again, a really nice game for the Panzerjäger NM116. It is just, when you are top tier, this thing is absolutely devastating, because it's got great camo. Things do struggle to spot you, and then also your pen is going to pen everything you're going to face, and your rate of fire is utterly blistering. It's great when it's top tier. Tier 9 and 10, it's still very competitive. It's a really solid tank destroyer. So now we're on to the fourth and final game, and this one we're against tier 10s. We're bottom tier, and it's like, okay, let's see what we can get done against some tier 10s. We're on steps. So what we're going to do is we're going to push along this 9-0 line. Unfortunately, that shot misses and hits the upper plate, the 430U, but we reload quick enough to get a shot into his lower plate. I'm going to see if he's still there, but no, we don't decide to take the shot. And there you go, there's the gun depression over the back. We end up snapping onto him, but then the gun just ends up going up into the sky, so we can't quite get a shot at the HWK-12. So we're going to move beyond this ridgeline to stay safe from the things camping in their base. But again, this HWK-12 is spotting our guys. We want to get rid of this guy, because he's being a bit of a nuisance. So we're slapping shells in. He's now a one-shot for us if we can get the shot. But unfortunately, he just ducks below the ridgeline just before we get the shot in. Can't quite get a shot at the Udes, can't quite see the T-30 enough to get shots at him. He is getting absolutely wrecked. Most of our team is over here, which is nice, so we've got support. And there we go, the HWK-12 gets shut down. So now's the time we're going to move forward. And what I want to do is get into a position to spot their campers and get into a position like A6, A7 eventually, to be able to use the ridge and get shots at the guys that are camping in the base, because they've got a decent amount camping in their base at the minute. So we end up spotting the 430U. We're just going to go up on top of the ridge line, see if we can get a shot. We try and snap it in, but unfortunately hit the turret of that guy so it doesn't go through. And now is the time we're going to use to maneuver into a different position again. We're going to get up onto this ridge line in front of us where the Progetto is, and hopefully we'll be able to get some shots into their base again. Unfortunately, with the Progetto being there, though, he is going to be spotted, which means they are going to be looking this way. So we're going to chance it, get one shot into the Object 430U, and now we're just going to get out of dodge. And again, you can see the gun depression as we go over the back. That little bar that's on the back there ends up restricting your gun depression over the back. So just beware of that when you use this tank, okay? So here's this position I'm talking about. We're going to go to A6 on the far edges of it, and we're going to poke up and see if we can get any shots. And you can see we're not spotted. This is how good the camo is. We pop a shot into the drive wheel of the Fatherland, pen him, and he gets shut down by the Progetto. But we're going to start using the blistering rate of fire to good effect, well, to as good effect as we can. We're just waiting for people to stop aiming at us. We are detected, and it's just like, leave me alone, people. We are spotting all these guys, though, so we try and pop a shot into the lower plate of the 430U. It only goes into his tracks. They've all fired, though, and again, because this tank's got a blistering rate of fire, I know that I'll probably get up and get a shot into him before we take another hit. We get a shot into the drive wheel of the 430U again, and now he's tracked. We can actually perma-track him. So we get another shot into his drive wheel, end up ammo-racking him as well. So he's still staring at us. He's not very happy at us. So we're just going to auto-aim the shot, try and hope it goes in, but it doesn't. It ends up tracking him, and he gets shut down. The T26C5 from the back also gets shut down because we were spotting him. We ended up getting a lot of the assistance. We got a decent amount of tracking on the 430U as well. And so far we're up to 2.1k damage and 1800 assistance. We're still seeing shots flying in from that back end. So we're going to use the NM116 to become a little bit of a scout to try and spot up some of these tanks that are around at the back here. Because it is a chaffy, you know, it was a light tank in its former life. And we're going to use its great camo and decent view range with optics and stuff like that to our ability to hopefully see if the enemy, or should I say our allies, get some shots in. So that Udes 03 that we spotted ends up getting shut down, so we're up to 2.4k assistance. Just going to move on top of this ridgeline, see if we can see this griller or see anything that's in the middle. And we end up spotting the griller. We try and go for the drive wheel at the back, but unfortunately the shot goes really low and doesn't track him, and then doesn't also pen him, which is really sad. But we're now going to go griller hunting. It's like, you know what? He can't kill me in one shot unless he fires HE. We're going griller hunting. We're loading the HE, 370 alpha, 5-second reload. It's going to be devastating to this poor bloke. And it's like, where's he gone? Okay, he's not looped back round where I was. He's here. We try and snap the shot in, but we only hit his drive wheel, which means we don't pen it with the HE. He misses, so we make sure the shot goes straight into his lower plate. Pens him for 350. We now can finish him off with the APF SDS, and we shut down the griller just like that. He missed one shot. We took the rest of his hit points, his 700 hit points, quite easily. So now we're capping and they're trying to cap, and I think they've realised probably that they can't actually win by cap if they stay in it because of the way we are. So we're going to try and manoeuvre up behind their guys in our cap. But there's the Carnarvon. And it's like, oh, hello, Mr. Carnarvon. Just let me shoot the back end of your turret. Aiming the shot in properly. Shoot at him, and look at that. He's not far outside of our detection range. We fire at him, and he doesn't actually spot us. That's why the camo is so good on this tank. It's so dirty. But we're about to cap, so it's like, quickly snap the shot in. And fortunately enough, the shell goes straight in. Not that well aimed, and shuts the Carnarvon down. And we'll finish the game with the victory. We'll come top on the team. 2 kills, 3.2k damage, 2.4k assistance. Sniper medal, second class, 1661 base XP in a tier 10 game. A nice game for the Panzerjäger NM116. It's a really solid TD. 10,000 gold, is it worth it? Well, again, I'll say 10,000 gold is expensive. It's always worth to wait for it to pop up in an earn op or on discount. But it's really, really solid tank. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.